you gotta have skin in the game in your own dream. You gotta be, you know, we all are believers, but if you want somebody to believe in what you're doing, you gotta show them the skin in the game that you have. It could be, it could be education, it could be financial, it could be a team, resources. Um, but your dream is your dream, and you have to protect that dream by all means. Uh, at the same time, you have to be willing to show individuals what you're willing to sacrifice for your dream. What are you willing to sacrifice for your commitment? What are you willing to forego in order to support and take your dream to make your dream either reality, or take your dream from reality to the next level of escalation or success that you're looking for?
Thanks all for tuning into Dreamcatchers, where we make things happen. Dreamcatchers was formally launched to unlock the hidden potential in successful, self-motivated individuals who desire to take their life's work to the next level but need support to evolve. We are a collective group of professionals with various backgrounds that use our talents to assist those individuals in realizing their wildest dreams by providing education, inspiration, and direction. This podcast is where we share the lessons we've learned along the way to catching our dreams and give you some context around the how and the why to each approach to put you further ahead on the journey to catching your dreams. Are you ready?
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Dreamcatchers Podcast. I'm your host Jerome, and I got the extreme, I don't even know how to put the right words together for this, man. I got a legend with me today, Eric Robinson. Listen, man, guys, Eric was in Spain at the running of the Bulls, and I get a message that says, have you heard what E-Rob's been doing? I said, E-Rob vanished. I haven't talked to him in I don't know how long. He's like, yeah, because he's been doing work. I was like, okay, here we go. He's like, you just need to connect with him, find out what's going on. It was something about coffee houses, barber shops, or salons or something, houses. I'm just like, wait, so you mean to tell me I meet this guy at North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University.
Aggie Pride.
We play football together. We do engineering together. And then this guy just goes back home and becomes a legend. And I get to say I went to school with this guy. So with that, hey, Eric, tell these guys what's been going on in the past few years, and then we'll dive into more of the show.
Oh, man. So a pleasure to be here. Number one, man, I appreciate the opportunity. So, yeah, man, just, back, attempting to make a difference, man, attempting to get better, attempting to learn, still growing, in my walk, still growing in corporate America, and attempting to be influential in the community, man. So that's my goal, to help develop people, help be a part of the movement, and not only, doing it for the culture, man, but making sure at the same time it's about, transition, change, and developing people. That's my mission, man. It's about developing people.
Now, we talked about a month ago, and you said, yeah, I retired my mom. I said, you did what? He's like, yeah, my mom works for me full time. Well, I can't really call it full time, but my mom works for me now. Talk to me, Eric. What's going on, man?
Oh, man. So probably in 2015, man, my mom, just like every single mom, man, makes the sacrifices and gets things done, and ultimately her and I were talking, and for years she's been working in, the social field, not necessarily a social worker, however, working with disadvantaged youth, working with youth who have developmental disabilities. And so, she was like, hey, I want to start something. I really want to be a part of the change. I want to be a part of making a difference, and not just talking about all the problems that I see. And so we started an organization called Because You Matter. And our tag is all about shaping better lives, man. And so we started that journey into 2014, 2015. And it's a lengthy process. You got to go through various certifications. But after we got that started, man, we picked up some clients. started to see what it was really about, started working with individuals. And then I'll say at the end of 2016 is when things started to really transition for us and take off. And so she said, you know what? She was still working and balancing the business. We sat down and had a conversation, man. And so she said, well, how are we going to continue this? And I said, we'll figure it out. Ultimately, I came back to her and I said, what do you think about just retiring? And she was like, what do you mean? I was like, stop working. Just let's go all in. We'll figure it out together. And ultimately, man, she took that leap of faith with me, man. And here we are, 4 years later, still moving strong, brother.
Wow. So tell me about this, because we didn't really get into this one. What is Because You Matter actually do, and how is it making an impact on the community?
Great question, man. So Because You Matter, we partner with Hamilton County Developmental Disability, DDS Social Service. And ultimately, we have various certifications with the county, and we take on clients, anything from helping them acclimate to living on their own, all the way up to doing taking individuals into the home. So we have a home that we've set up to bring individuals into, and really, it's really about inclusiveness. The county is big on being more inclusive, getting people out in the workforce, making sure that they can be, have the same life no matter what their disability may be. It could be something as simple as a mental behavior, to some people. I have one client who's autistic and doesn't respond verbally, but has the ability to understand everything you say and communicate with you. So we are, again, working with the county. We're certified by Medicaid, and we're partnering with these families to make an impact on their family. Can't even think of the word now. Their loved ones. There we go. Lives. So that's what it's all about, man.
So how do you get into something like that? That's a really specialized service. I don't see that on your career trajectory. So what got you interested in working with the mentally challenged?
Yeah, man. So I mean, it took a lot of research, man. It's hot in this room, but it took a lot of research. So we actually started to research it, and so we're certified by the board that sits in Columbus, Ohio. And what they do is they take you through a process where, of course, they dig into your background, make sure you have the appetite and the education and the resources to really get this thing started. So we went through that process. They come down, they do an inspection on your home, they go through your policies and procedures manual, and then Medicaid, man, they just dig all into your business. So criminal history, education, background, why you want to get this started. Let's look at your policies and procedures manual. We got the fire. You have to get the fire marshal involved to come and inspect the home that you're bringing individuals into. And really, it's kind of a collaborative effort across Hamilton County, the certifying board in Columbus, and the Cincinnati Police Department, to make sure that you are able to support the individuals that you're working with and provide them with a safe environment and a progressive environment. So.
Wow. So did you have any experience with this before you got started on your own, or your mom, or what's
yeah, so my mom had been doing it for 20 years. When I was at A&T, absolutely Aggie pride. I actually used to work with young men back when I first came to A&T. Funny enough, I was actually in a program when I first came to A&T. So I had partnered with a guy when I got down there working with youth. So started it back in North Carolina, continued it on when I moved to various states, and so we have quite a bit of an experience doing this work. So.
Man, I didn't even realize you were doing that on top of all the other stuff you were doing, but I should have known. So, on the podcast, I like to ask people about defining moments. So, if you could do me a favor and tell me about 3 defining moments over the course of your life.
Three defining moments, man. I would say number one would be moving my brother to North Carolina, man. So after I had left Cincinnati, my younger brother, being that knucklehead child, started to get into more trouble. He watched and observed. I didn't realize how much he observed things that I did growing up. But I ultimately, to make sure that he had a better life, I actually moved him down to North Carolina A&T with me for my last 2 years of college. So took care of him. And I think that started a movement with a lot of individuals I was close to, because they were starting to bring down their cousins or their younger family members who may have been getting in trouble, who may have not had, the opportunity to be around individuals who were progressive. So that was one of the first things that I could think about. And during that time, man, he got to not only see how I made the transition from out of Cincinnati into college, he got to live it and experience it firsthand himself. So he was playing varsity football, hanging out with me and my frat brothers, Omega Psi Phi. And so that put him on a different trajectory himself for moving past the things that he was accustomed to coming from Cincinnati and where we grew up at. So that would definitely be one of the more defining moments that I can think about.
Wow. So after you graduated, what happened next? Where'd you go?
So when I graduated, I moved to St. Louis, Missouri. There was a guy by the name of John Hicks who had a pretty good relationship with the chair of our department. He recruited myself and another friend. And so moved to St. Louis and started working for the Boeing company. And I was there for a little over 7 years, but moved to St. Louis, was in an accelerated program, had a good, path for my career. And then after about 7.5 years, went back and got 2 master's degrees, and then started to look at what was next for me, man, and that next step in my career path. So after I left A&T, I'd actually moved to St. Louis, Missouri.
You're just going to slide in 2 master's degrees. What is these degrees in?
Oh, here you go, man.
What are you doing? An MBA and an engineering? What are the degrees?
Yeah, so it was my MBA in operations, and then my master's in electrical engineering. So I went to Baylor for grad school. So yeah, man, that it was just that next step, man. It's just always about learning and continuing to grow and develop and find ways to redefine yourself.
All right, so you went to St. Louis, you dropped some money on some graduate degrees, and now you said you still got a corporate job and you're doing a bunch of other stuff too. You're trying to be modest. I'm not going to let it happen though. You don't want people to know what's going on, but I'm going to get to it. You should have never had that conversation with me before we hopped on this call. But what are you doing now, man? Tell me what does a normal day look like for Eric Robinson?
So I usually get up about 4:35, man. And I, kind of get my day started, look at what I have to get accomplished that day. So myself and a good friend of mine and my mother, we opened up a coffee shop. And so it's called Sunny Blue Coffee House, named after my grandfather. I check in on them, make sure they have what they need. And then I take an hour road trip to work. So I work for GE currently, man. So I have a pretty big team that is responsible in short for building generators and converters that go on the commercial aircraft. After that, man, I make that hour haul back down the way. And from there, man, it's either meetings, checking up on businesses, looking at what's next in line for what me and my business partner are trying to do. Making sure, family's good, making sure my mother's good. And that carries me through the day, man. So I'm usually like 5 a.m. till about 10 p.m. And then I start the day back over again, man.
Ooh, that sounds like discipline to me, my brother.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It gets tough from time to time, but I'm trying, man. Working on it.
Yeah. So, All right. Tell me about your business partner. How'd you pick your business partner? Because I mean, it seems to be going
So
well.
my business partner, her name's Janelyn. We've known each other, man, since almost 25 years, man. So went to high school together, and so we both left Cincinnati, and we continued to stay connected. And we talked about doing business together. We talked about where we wanted to be in the future, and ultimately, as of 3 years ago, we started our first business venture together, and it just continues to get better, man. So over our 20 plus years of knowing one another, we not only developed a relationship. I've gotten to know her family, she's gotten to know my family, but we have a good trust amongst one another, man. So the reason I decided to partner with her is because she has the experience that I don't, right? So she's ran bars and clubs and restaurants for over 20 years. I've continued to learn through corporate America, how to run P&Ls and how to, continue to lead a business and as well, her being a leader. So it's a good, partnership, man. And again, where I don't excel, she does, and vice versa, but we continue to challenge one another and learn from each other.
Now you're married. And so I've seen a lot of people struggle with having kind of a male-female business partnership and be married. It seems like there's always, some kind of rub or issue or discomfort. So how are you guys bridging that gap?
Aside, I'm not married,
Oh,
so
my bad.
no, you're good, man. But ultimately, man, I with Jenelyn, I mean, it's a friend, man. She's been around for years, so anybody who whether family or whether somebody I'm dating, they know her. So it's not a I haven't had the experience of jealousy or who is she, because they get that introduction. They know when they see me, they're going to see her. So that's actually worked out pretty well, man.
Yeah, I've seen whole things just blow up because it's like,
I can
well, why
imagine.
are you so close? You've known each other for so long. What are you telling her that you're not telling me? Like, it's one of those tough things when you have, female partnership.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've been fortunate enough not to have that situation, so I'm not looking for it. And again, anybody who sees me, you will see her. So it's just like with the kids, man. It's a package deal. So she's been around for a while. She's my business partner. So
Package deal, just like the kids. I love it.
right, man, absolutely.
So tell me, what's the biggest lesson you've learned in business so far?
The biggest lesson is not people, not everybody is where you are, right? And so you have these friendships that you've developed over the years, and you have the relationships with individuals, but that doesn't, and I think we all have an appetite for wanting to work with individuals that we're close to or that we built relationships with. However, that doesn't necessarily pan out. I mean, quite naturally, Janelyn, it did pan out, but I have a big network, man, and people have a different appetite for risk and reward. So just understanding that people will not be where you are, and vice versa. You may not be where they are, but that doesn't mean you still can't learn from that individual, or you still can't bounce ideas off that individual, or you still don't have an opportunity down the road to leverage their skill set when the time does come. That would probably be one of the biggest things that I've learned, man, so far.
Hey guys, back in 2016, me and the team decided to formalize Dreamcatchers as an organization that can help people achieve their wildest dreams. If this is you, please visit our website at dreamshouldbereal.com in order to find out the details of our services and how we can help you become a Dreamcatcher. Talk to you soon.
Wow. So if you could go back and do something over again, or change something on your trajectory, is there something that you would do different or change?
Oh man. I'm a firm believer, man, that things happen for a reason, and I don't believe in coincidences. I wouldn't, I wouldn't change anything that I've done to this point because everything has been a stepping stone for me getting to the next level. I just wish I would have started it earlier, man. You know what I mean? I wish I would have started it back when I was at A&T or right when I got out of college. However, my failures in the past, from doing different things at A&T and not being successful, doing things when I first got out of college and not being successful, I think have all led me to where I am today. Had I done those things in the past, I don't know that I would have had the sustainable support that I do now. So the thing, again, things happen for a reason, and the only thing I could say, man, is to do it earlier or stay closer to God's will so that I could have gotten here sooner, right? So that's really it.
So you got me pulling two directions. I don't know which way to go, but I'm going to trust my intuition. So you said you don't believe in coincidences. You believe everything happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
What makes you believe that?
I really believe that, man, because I'm a firm believer, and I think it starts with faith, right? I'm a firm believer that, things will work out, no matter how, when we're in the trenches of it, we may not believe that this is the best thing for us. I've come to the understanding that, and I've set my mind to the state of it's going to work out. This is not something that is not going to benefit me or benefit someone. So again, coincidences, I don't believe in them. I believe in there's a path that we all have. It's on us to understand that path, right? By staying connected with God, and by not only, and sometimes just being still and just listening. So yeah, man, I'm just a firm believer that things happen for a reason.
Do you have a specific example of something that could have been seen as a coincidence and then you saw on the back end the reason why it had to happen the way it happened?
Oh, absolutely, man. So funny enough, when I first got out of college, what I'm doing right now with my social service organization, Because You Matter, I actually tried to do it back in 2006. I was living in St. Louis, like I said, and long story short, I had purchased a home and got everything set up for that transition, only to find out that I hadn't educated myself well enough. And at this time, I had a house. I had invested a lot of money to convert this house. And so that, at that time, I saw it as, well, dang, I've done all this work and put in all this effort only to, not make it across the finish line. However, I look back, I fast forward now to, call it 9 years later, where when I did do it the second time around, I had a better understanding of what I needed to do. I educated myself even more, and made sure that I, crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's to make sure that I did not get rejected, that next time around. So I feel like that, again, going through it, you're frustrated, you're upset by it, you're questioning yourself. However, looking back again, 9 years after that, happened, I was able to do it. So.
Wow. So have you been able to kind of connect the dots on when you were able to get things, or where you've been able to get things that you wanted versus the times where you weren't successful in getting them?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel that way. I mean, what we just talked about, with the whole, social service organization, even with the coffee house. So we had a gentleman, we had another friend that we grew up with who had a bar for a long time. He was just burnt out on it. So he sat down and talked to us, and we looked at opening a bar. And again, that didn't play out the way we wanted it to be. We were looking for investors. People had an interest in it, but I don't know that they had the appetite for it. So that fell by the wayside, and ultimately we got to the point of getting, people's second bites. If it's not alcohol, it's coffee. So we got to the point where we were able to open up a coffee house, and the blessing in it, man, is we bootstrapped it. I mean, no, we used our own cash. We didn't, other than some credit card debt, we didn't go take out a loan. We learned the process. We walked the process from getting your certifications to your drawings to your plumbing permits. We did it all. And again, so I look back on, well, what if we would have opened that bar, used other people's money, and it was not successful? Think about some of the bridges that you've burned. However, we bootstrapped it. We're learning and growing every day. Not to mention we've been able to acquire our own liquor license. So at this point, it's like, we answer to ourselves. We don't have a lot of debt on it, and so we have the opportunity to grow the business organically and not tarnish it by focusing on when the next dollar is coming in or changing our image in the community or our perception. So we get a more organic growth, man. So I think it's going to be way more sustainable in the long run.
Now you're taking me down the path. So tell me how you get in position in order to bootstrap it, and we're not talking about bootstrapping. We're talking about you guys were in a financial position where you could, make these investments in your own project instead of running around with your dream and saying, hey, will you invest in my dream? I've never done this before. I want you to give me your money. So if I mess up, I don't have any
doesn't hurt me.
It's always your fault. I must put my time in it, but your money's at risk. So tell me about this thought of, being independent, being, in a sense, self-made, man. Talk to me about why you guys took that approach.
I think one of the things, man, sometimes we get so caught up in, let's put together this document, let's sit down and iron out all the details. And her and I didn't take that approach. We said, look, we know we want to do business together. We're going to start saving money. So, I mean, literally, we opened up an account. We didn't even open up a business account. We just opened an account and started dumping money in there, man. And we literally spent a year saving money, right? And it wasn't about, let's get this LLC started. It wasn't about, let's, sit down and sign a 60-page agreement of how we're not going to cross one another. We're just going to be honest, stand-up people, right? And I think that goes to, not only our character, but also our ability to work together and step out there and trust one another. And that was the first thing, man, is you have to put yourself in that financial position, because whether you go to a bank, whether you go to friends or family, a credit union, a lender, they want to see what skin in the game you have, right? And if you don't have any skin in the game for your own dream, then why would you expect anybody else to put any of their skin in the game? Because you tell them your financial projections are going to be awesome. What business plan doesn't say after 3 years we start making money? Everyone that I've written or everyone that I've seen tells you that, right? So I think that's the first step, is we just started saving money, man. We literally saved for an entire year before we bought our first investment property. It took us 10 months to open up this coffee house, and we literally spent 6 months just learning the business, going to different coffee houses, talking to different people, going to different coffee festivals, reading about single origin coffees, just any and everything we could, man. We were just like sponges, man, attempting to soak up as much knowledge as possible.
I respect it. So did you guys want outside investors, or did you want to own the whole thing on your own?
We really wanted. I'm all about ownership, so that to me, that's a good point you bring up, man. While we don't own the facility that the coffee house is in, we do own the coffee house, ourselves. It would have been nice to have investors. However, not everybody is in the business of being in the coffee business. Not everybody is in the business of customer service. Not everybody is in the business of, having early failures to make great success stories down the road. So we're people are pulling at us about another location. for the sake of liking what we've put together. We may consider some investors next time around, but on this first time, man, we looked at the numbers and we said, let's just pull it together ourselves. Let's be owners. It would be great, to have investors, but at the end of the day, we took our own leap of faith to show and demonstrate, not only to individuals we know what we're doing, but we also have skin in the game ourselves and what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's beautiful right there, man. Absolutely beautiful. I've watched so many people, they'll come to me and they're like, yeah, I need somebody to invest in this vision. I was like, what proof of concept do you have that this is actually going to work? Oh, well, I know it's going to work. It's in my heart.
Right.
Good luck getting that funded, guys.
Yeah, exactly, man. We funny story. We there's a community in Cincinnati that they had built a new facility. We pitched to them about opening a location. Surprisingly enough, they said yes. And again, it was, I think we were caught up in the hype of working with this big developer. Went down the process, signed a letter of intent, and then they send us a 60-page lease. And we're like, wait a minute. This is not a partnership. We were looking for a partnership. They just wanted somebody to pay the bill because of who they owe. And I'm thinking to myself, we're not here to pay your bills. We want to partner with someone. So we did some negotiation. Long story short, I killed the deal. And so much so that other people started to pull out, and they were calling us trying to say, hey, well, can we sit down and talk? And we're like, thanks, but no thanks. We're gonna get good at this and what we're doing, and we'll look at another venture down the road. So it goes both ways when it comes to people. People just expect sometimes for you not to do your homework. Doing your homework and doing your research is critical, man. It is so critical in the game. And I've been that guy who had an idea or a dream and didn't do my homework, and either it didn't go well or people said, well, what's your skin in the game? And I when I was younger, I didn't necessarily take heed to it, but as I got older and started to educate myself more, it makes a big difference, man.
Huge difference. Hedging that risk, man. All right. So
Absolutely.
let's just talk about financial fitness a little bit right now, since we went down this path of you being able to put your own skin in the game. So how have you set yourself up, or what have you been able to do to grow your income and I guess keep your expenses low so that you have space to save? Talk to me about kind of your views on money and how it's to be spent or how it's to be used, and how you got into this place where you're an owner.
So man, my grandmother, she was very influential in my life growing up, and she got into the stock market game, just on the whim, talking to somebody at her job, man. So ultimately at a young age, she got me into the stock market game, and really it was really about identifying companies that do what they call drip funds, right? So dividend reinvestment. And that's nothing more than, hey, I buy a stock, and instead of you sending me when that company pays out a dividend, don't send it to me, just reinvest it back into my stock portfolio. And if you do that over 10 years, you'll look up and you'll say, well, wow, I bought 10 shares, but through dividend reinvestments, I'm getting another share a year, or, whatever the case may be. So that was one thing, is investing into those types of stocks. Some of your newer companies don't do it as much now, but like your P&Gs and some of your older companies, they actually do that. The second thing was just maxing out my Roth IRA account, man. So, in a tax year, you can put, $5,500 in there. You do that, starting in your 20s and doing that for years. The math, compounding interest adds up real quick. So that's another thing I do for myself, man. And then every time I get a raise, man, I reinvest it. If I was able to live off a certain salary prior to getting that raise, then that money needs to go right back. I need to be investing that money, right? So I know it's easy to say, oh, I got an extra $150 a week. Let me take that. But no, I was living without it already. So let me take it and reinvest it. So I don't believe in buying new cars. I don't believe in car notes. So I'm not the guy that's gonna go out and buy the nicest, biggest car. Do I like nice cars? And I have plenty of kids, so I have trucks and all of that, but I don't believe in car notes, man. So either buy it cash or find some way to put a substantial down payment down and do it close to when you're about to get some more money, tax time. If you're getting some kind of bonus, if somebody's gonna give you some cash, so that way you could just pay that thing right off, man. So, and the other a couple other things is, we've all been in that situation where you're in so much credit card debt, you don't know what bill to pay first, but when you have an opportunity to do 0% interest, capitalize on it, man. If you could do 0% interest for a year to pay off one credit card and have 0%, that saves you, thousands of dollars, a year. So those are just some of the things that I do, man. And even when it comes to business, now that I'm acquiring more, I get more 0% interest stuff. So I'm like, all right, well, let's use that. Let's use their money. And that's what I'm ultimately trying to get to, the point of using the bank's money. Cash is king. So to be able to walk into the bank and say, look, I'm looking for X, Y, and Z is huge. I also tell people, don't wait until things are tight for you to go to the bank. When things are going well, just go get you a line of credit and just let it sit there. That way, if things ever get tight or you're strapped for cash, you have something right there that you can go tap into. So those are some of the things that I abide by, man. And in the world that we're in now, if anybody, I believe everything is negotiable. So, man, when I go, I'm not into couponing. I wish I was, but everything's negotiable. So when you go pay for something, ask for a discount. The worst they can do is tell you no. Or when you do go somewhere, I'm big on returning things. Like if I bought something and I didn't use it, I'm gonna return it. I'm not gonna keep it. I'm trying to keep as much of my cash as I can, man, and reinvest it.
So I'm not gonna let that slide. You said you're trying to go to the bank, and that's not true. You go to the bank. So talk to me about building a relationship with a community bank, because I don't think a whole lot of people understand the power of being able to walk into a community bank and get deals done.
Yeah. Oh man, that's huge, man. So the first couple of deals on property that we did, I actually used Quicken Loans. And funny enough, they basically were like, oh, no, we need you to slow down on purchasing. And I'm like, what do you mean? If I can afford it, there shouldn't be an issue. So I had a friend of mine, she's really big into real estate. She was like, hey, go try out this community bank credit union. So I went to them, had a good conversation with them. And that's the thing about those smaller banks. They have more flexibility. And so did my first deal with them. And not only was I able to purchase a piece of property, I actually put it in my business name. That's another good thing. If you want to keep your debt to income looking good as much as you can, move things into your business and out of your personal name. So you're building that business credibility as well. And I started to talk to the lady, and she actually asked me what was my long-term strategy and goals and that I was attempting to achieve. So once I had an opportunity to sit down and talk about that, that kind of opened up the gates for me. She put me in touch with some of their wealth management and strategic teams. And so when I do come to them for things, they kind of know me a little bit. I make sure that at the end of the day, whether it's Christmas or the holidays, send them something to stay top of mind, because that relationship building and that rapport building is going to be huge for you being able to get the things that you want. I mean, they go to bat for me when I come in the bank, and the underwriter is being a asshole about about something that I'm trying to get. So
nice. That community bank play is not one that many people understand. So
oh man, don't underestimate it.
That. So Eric, what are you most grateful for?
Oh man, I'm really grateful for family health, man. I mean, I just look around and you look at our communities and some of the things that we talk about in the community. So really just health, not only from with my kids. My grandmother is 90 years old, still living on her own, still up and moving. And that's a blessing, man. She has more years behind her than ahead of her. However, she is still continuing to live life. My mother, she's had some health challenges, but at the same time, her working for me and us working together, I think that's helped. Um, but really just health, man. We take it for granted oftentimes. Um, I have 4 healthy, beautiful children who are amazing, to me. And sometimes a lot of times I am still shocked at some of the things and some of the things that they observe and some of the things that come out of their mouth or questions that they ask, inquiring about careers and inquiring about business, and inquiring about things that I'm doing, man. So just health and perspective.
Nice. And so here's the final question, the way we wrap up every episode. If people kind of checked out for the last, 45 minutes, hour, and they didn't really catch anything, what's the one message you want people to take away from our talk?
The one thing I want people to take away from what we've talked about, man, is you gotta have skin in the game in your own dream. You gotta be, we all are believers, but if you want somebody to believe in what you're doing, you gotta show them the skin in the game that you have. It could be, it could be education, it could be financial, it could be a team, resources, but your dream is your dream, and you have to protect that dream by all means. At the same time, you have to be willing to show individuals what you're willing to sacrifice for your dream. What are you willing to sacrifice for your commitment? What are you willing to forego in order to support and take your dream to make your dream either reality or take your dream from reality to the next level of escalation or success that you're looking for?
My brother, dreams should be real, Eric. I appreciate you doing the show, man. This was
I
amazing.
appreciate it. Absolutely, man. I appreciate you taking the time to chop it up with me. I'm glad we reconnected, man. I remember we were playing football together, and
Here we
they
go.
had
Here we go. I need to cut off the recording.
they had a study hall. Make sure you get this recorded. We after your freshman year or first semester, you didn't have to go to study hall no more. And they were talking about the student athletes, and they called your name, Jerome Myers, 3-point blah blah blah. They called my name. I remember you came up to me. You was like, "Yo, E, I didn't realize you were smart." And I was like, I just kind of looked for a minute. I was like, I just kind of, it wasn't no big deal. Then you was like, "Hey, man, let me get your number, man. We need to connect." And I just tell that story to say how, first encounters with people and our first encounter to now, much respect, because I always saw how you were moving back in the day, and much success to what you're doing. And if there's anything I can do to help or support, man, absolutely let me know. Would love to continue to connect and thrive with individuals.
Hey, it's homecoming season, man. I'll see
It's
you in a
homecoming
few
season.
days. It is
G-Ho in the house, yeah, man.
Yeah, it's homecoming season. I appreciate you telling that story, man. A whole lot of people don't know this, but I don't remember anything from 2001 to about late 2005. I was in a pretty bad car accident.
Oh, wow.
My whole college experience got erased. So
wow.
It's always interesting. You could tell me anything about college, and I have to throw my hands up and say, hey, if you say so, I don't know. But if you say so.
That's interesting. Yeah, man. I remember you asked me for my number, and that's how we started. That's how we started kicking it, man, and just connecting. Through football, we'll go grab lunch or something together, man. But yeah, that's how we started to connect, man.
Dope. Well, thanks again, man. Hey guys, if you made it to this point in the podcast, you must really like it. So do me a favor. give us a written rating and review, and share this with somebody, man. Eric's story is amazing. It's been super, super exciting to hear him tell it, and I think it's going to help a ton of people. So with that, we're signing off, man. Talk to you soon.
If you want to learn more about Dreamcatchers, please visit the website at dreamshouldereal.com. If you can think of someone who would benefit from these types of opportunities and are willing to share what we're doing with them, we would greatly appreciate it.